Hey everyone, welcome back to Imagination Tech. So today I have here with me an Eachine VR006. You might have seen this on the channel before. I've even used this on one time when I used to use the Quantum Cyclops goggles and that was broken, I think, or it didn't have any battery. So I used this on one of my flight sessions. Yeah, this is a very cheap goggles. It's like $40 or even less depending on where you buy it. It also comes rebranded as a Maker Fire. I'm not sure which model they Maker Fire goggles it is, but yeah, this is a fake diversity goggles. It has two antenna connectors, but actually just only one of them is actually just connected. So this isn't anything special. I just used to bring this around as a backup goggles or as a spectator goggles for when kids want to watch the FPV feed, or just to entertain the kids. But it's a little bit bulky, so I'm thinking of doing something else with this and maybe make this a little bit more useful to me and still serve as a spectator goggles or something like that. And I think I found just the right solution for that. So let's go over to my workbench and let's see what we can do with this. Go on to Thingiverse and search for VR006. We are presented with several options, like this lens mod, where I think you put this on your Eachine VR006, and there's even this Fat Shark module mod that you can put a Fat Shark module and replace the original receiver that you have on your VR006. This one actually looks nice. This is a screen case that has a mount for your Taranis X9D, and also has a battery holder for an external 18650 battery. But actually I am looking for something much more simple. So this one, if we take a look at it, it comes in two pieces, and it has two SMA mounts. However, as I mentioned before, the VR006 actually just uses one antenna. It has one receiver, and the trace to the other SMA mount is just it's a fake antenna mount. So I'm looking for something. I was looking for something that really simple, and actually I found this on GitHub by someone named Nomad. It's actually the same one as that one, except that it just has one antenna mount. If you take a look at the SD files that they attached, so it has one antenna mount, but it looks exactly the same otherwise. So this page has instructions, so I'm gonna link this down below in the description, so do check that out. But this is the project I'm going to go with and I'm gonna follow, and hopefully we come out with a nice little FPV monitor like this one. So here's the 3D printed mount that I'm gonna be putting the VR006 electronics into. And printed out okay, did a little bit of sanding. So let's just see how it goes. We're going to be opening this up. There are 4 screw holes over here, and I think that is it. It's probably best to remove these straps first. So that's the first thing we're going to do, is to remove the straps. That might make life a little easier. Actually it's going to come off once we remove the screws, so let's just go ahead and do that. Now we've got all of the screws removed, we're just gonna carefully pull this away. Okay, so as you can see, we have the monitor here, the display, the control board, the main control board. We have our switches here, and also our really tiny LiPo right over here. Just gonna have to remove that. The wrench doesn't fit all the way in, but it's rotating, so that's good. That's what's important. As long as you can get it rotating, then you're good. So once it's loosened up, you can use your fingers. Just basically whole lot easier. Okay, now that we've removed that, we can now just push this thing out. This thing's caught. Try to remove this ring first, because I think it's catching onto the frame and also onto that SMA adapter. Now I've got that out, you can now just simply push it through the antenna. It's gonna pop out just like that. Now we have our board, we have our monitor. Be careful not to rip that out. Then finally we just have to get this battery out. There's a piece of foam there. So there's some adhesive. Just gonna work our way through that. We can just now pull it out. So there's some double-sided sticky tape there. Probably we may be able to use that. Let's see. First, let's remove everything. Now we don't need this anymore. We can just put it away. So depending on where you got your VR006, there might be one or two SMAs. So the regular VR006 goggles has only this one attached, and this one was left blank. And some people say that this is a diversity setup when it is not. It only has one receiver. But does it have antenna diversity? And someone in the RC groups actually checked the traces on this. So there's a silk screen trace, but actually this SMA is not connected in any way underneath that white trace. So we are just going to be removing this SMA antenna because it just adds additional weight, additional complexity, and we just don't want people confusing, or even me. I don't want to get confused which SMA to connect my antenna to. So we're just gonna desolder this because we don't need it. We don't need diversity. It's not real diversity anyway. Whether or not the trays are intact, it doesn't really matter. So in some versions of the VR006 I saw online on Google, they use a metal case, but this one appears to be made out of plastic, so that might be better. At least that's one less thing that will conduct electricity. There are some breakout pins on the back of the board. We're just going to cover that with some double-sided tape. You could use electrical tape, and it's probably a better idea, but I think this will do. We just since this is going to go over there, you just need to make sure that it doesn't, I'm not sure. I think if this is plastic, then that's good, but it doesn't really matter that much. Probably should use some scissors to make these cuts a little bit nicer. Now we just need to fold this over, make sure that they are aligned in the right place, and it's not. See about that. So you might need to sand the edges of your 3D print a little bit, but yeah, I've already done that, and now I'm just gonna test if everything is working before you proceed to closing this whole thing up. And yeah, it looks I think that looks good. Nothing's broken, hopefully. So we're just gonna turn this off again. Now this thing will slide over here, but as you can see, I'm not sure if you can see, but that connector is in the way, so we're gonna have to desolder that thing and solder the wires directly onto the board. And once we're done, we can just fit this thing onto those holes, and we'll be ready to close this up. And probably put this battery somewhere over here, out of the way, or something. We'll figure it out. Okay, let's just desolder this thing. Okay, so now that we've soldered the wires directly onto the board, we can now, it can now mount flush. Also did a little bit sanding on these holes, so now it's gonna go like that, and we just need to slide this over and close the whole thing. But if I push the buttons, it's gonna fall down. It's gonna fall out. So yeah, just gotta put a little bit of padding right, somewhere on the back of that. So here it is, we are done with our conversion. It is a little bit of a tight fit, maybe because of the fat battery, maybe because of the my 3D printer not really printing that good quality, but yeah, this is a nice little, very handy, almost credit card size, but much thicker. But this can slide right into your bag, right into your pocket, and you have a second monitor, a backup monitor or a spectator monitor with you at all times, chargeable by a USB. So this little monitor is your perfect companion for when you're out in the field and you just want, maybe one of your buddies to, not change their channel on their fat charts, and you can just simply scan the frequency of whatever quad that you want to watch or have your friends watch on this little screen. And also, it's also very useful for when you have, little kids, other spectators who might be curious about what you're doing. So instead of lending them a pair of goggles, having all of the sweat on those on the foam faceplate. And it is also useful when you need to test something on the bench. You just need to power something up, and you don't really necessarily want to put on your goggles and take them off whenever you're working on something. So it's really very convenient, and it charges by USB, so you can just have a power bank on the field and just plug it in. You can have a monitor for going on for hours. Alright, so that is it for this fun little project. I hope if you do have a VR006, 007, or 005 or whatever cheap goggles that you have been planning to sell or offload or dispose, then maybe this might make you give that a second chance, and maybe build one for yourself. And if you do need some 3D prints, you can get in touch with Raymond R. Rodriguez. If you're in the tiny Philippines, you'll know how to get to him. But yeah, I can just post a link if you need some 3D prints made for you. Alright. So, and also post a link to the Thingiverse, or whatever, the link to this particular case, but there are also plenty of other cases on Thingiverse, so you might want to check those out too. Alright, so that has been it. If you found this little short little project useful, please click on the like button, make sure you are subscribed, and as always, keep building and keep flying.